What's going on, people? My name is Terrell Harris from theopenbox.com, where our vision is to make wholeness more accessible. And today what I wanted to talk about is the reason behind me entering into seminary in 2010. So a lot of people often think that when people go to seminary, they hear this tremendous call from God, or people have an idea of what they're going to do when they graduate. But that wasn't the case for me. So for me, I don't think I necessarily had a call going into seminary. So just to give you some background history, I met my wife, Brooke, when she was finishing up her first or second semester at Wesley Theological Seminary. And for me, what was happening at that time, I think I had read the Bible cover to cover once. So I was starting to grow in some of my spiritual maturity and also, my theological maturity. And then we began to have discussions. So she began to tell me some of the things she was learning at seminary. And what I started to notice is the things that she was telling me and the things that we were learning at church wasn't necessarily matching up. Or it more or less seemed like in church they didn't necessarily do a deep dive into the topics that, me and my now wife were discussing. So after reading, I guess, roughly about 15 to 20 of her books, in about a year and a half, I got this uncontrollable itch or urge to just acquire more knowledge. So she recommended that, fast forward the story, she recommended that I consider taking or auditing a class. And I kind of just dove in because, like I said, at this point, I had read the Bible a second time, cover to cover, 15 to 20 of her books. I couldn't, what I desired to learn or what I desired to see wasn't necessarily getting fed at church. So what began to happen is, in the beginning of a Bible study, I could see where the preacher or the leader was going to go. During the beginning of a sermon, I could tell where the message was going. So it wasn't necessarily hitting home for me. So at this point, what do? It was either I was just going to stay and shoot video, which I was doing at that particular time, or I was going to try to feel that urge or get that itch to learn more about God met or scratched in another place. So the only alternative for me was to dive headfirst into seminary. So, in first 2 semesters, everybody was like, what's your calling? What's your calling? I'm like, I don't necessarily have a call. What I knew I wanted to do is learn as much as I possibly could. And then I also understood that I wanted to support my wife because she was expressing to me how lonely being in seminary was. So, like I said, I just wanted to clear up a misperception that people go into seminary with a call, because I didn't have one. Now, God may have developed or revealed the calling to me maybe a year and a half in as it started to unravel. But going into seminary, I wasn't actually called or didn't know what was going to happen or what was going to be the outcome. I still figured, when I graduated, I would support Brooke in her ministry and everything that she was doing. And then it kind of blossomed into the open box and everything that we're going to be doing with that. So I just wanted to clear up that perception, because when you seek God's face or you seek knowledge, God actually can or will develop your calling out of that. So oftentimes we look at the biblical stories, you look at stories like Moses, and we expect a burning bush and we expect some direction. I think when we seek knowledge or seek the face of God, that's when our calling will be developed and revealed. And oftentimes, I think, at least for me, if at that point in 2009, if God would have told me you were going to go into seminary, you were going to start a ministry, or even have the idea to plant the church, I would have ran the other way. So I think it actually worked out in the long run. For me, it was probably better not to know in advance what this calling would turn into, and it's working out for the best. So I hope that clears up some of the ideas that I had, because I actually put this question out to social media to figure out if people actually knew why I went to seminary. So there you have it. I went to seminary first to seek knowledge, to have a better understanding of theology itself, and then it developed into this call. So that's it. Peace and blessings. I hope all is well.